All right, all right. Let's get this show on the road. Let's see here. All right, everyone, we will be getting started in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just had to jump on as I'm pumped up. Amir should be here very soon, and this is going to be a great, great webinar, y'all. A lot of value. I'm actually looking forward to this one as well. Amir is he's one of the best in the industry. Y'all got something really good planned for you today. So a lot of value. Gonna be fun. Anything worth doing is worth having fun doing it, right? Wouldn't you agree? Uda, John, Dan, tell us where you're from, y'all. Where y'all from? Welcome, welcome to the party. The NASP Thursday webinar party. Here we are, St. Louis, the STL. I gotta say, I just drove by the Arch for one of the first times ever, and I think I might take the time next time I pass through there to stop by that little park. It looked really, really beautiful in that area. Never been to STL. Heard great things about the barbecue and all kinds of stuff. Dan, you have to tell me where to go for some good St. Louis barbecue. Where's everyone else from? 4 more minutes, y'all. We're gonna get rolling in 4 minutes. This thing's gonna start fairly sharp. So I know y'all are usually here. Any place in town is good. Hey, sometimes people have their favorites. I'd say the same about Austin, Texas. Any place in town is good for barbecue. There's a couple places I wouldn't recommend, but it's really hard to find a bad barbecue here in Austin. No, you can't go wrong with barbecue. I would say if you're coming to Austin, though, Terry Black's is my favorite. So Terry Black's is definitely one of the good ones down here. So check that out. And in fact, you can even order. One of the cool things, being on lockdown, not being able to go anywhere, I actually traveled a lot. But every time I'd fall into a town, everything was closed, all the good restaurants that you crave. Well, some of the really good restaurants actually just kept the catering business going, did some catering, but also do shipping, mail order stuff. So you can order like pizzas from Illuminati's in Chicago. You can order like Cajun Creole stuff from New Orleans, even though the restaurants are closed out there. So check that stuff out, y'all. Gotta get some good food. Been there, done that. Nice. All right, where's everyone else from out there today? We're gonna get rolling here in about another 3 minutes. We have Amir Ryder from Cloud Task. If y'all don't know Cloud Task, you're gonna find out they're an amazing group doing some awesome stuff in the outsourcing business in and around sales alone. Really, really targeting sales in that industry, and you can hire out anything nowadays. It's bananas. I don't know if y'all been online, y'all been checking out the Upwork and Fiverr and all these resources out there. It is so much easier to stand out today than it ever was, and inexpensive to get work done. I mean, you don't have to learn how to do all this stuff yourself. It's amazing. All right, y'all, 2 more minutes. 2 minutes, we're gonna get rolling. Where's everyone else from? I got STL here, but where's everyone else from? I need to know. Come on, y'all. Where we got? Anyone miss? Oh, from Hotlanta. What's up, Ashley from Hotlanta? Welcome to the group. Welcome to the webinar. I have not spent, I spent a couple of nights in Atlanta. I don't think very much other than a couple of business meetings in and out. I think I hit a bar and a nightclub. It was a ways back, but Atlanta's a big, big city. There's a lot to cover in Atlanta. Definitely want to spend some, I'm in and out of your airport about all the time, but that's about it. From Nigeria, Uda, my man. Uda, are you a recent CPSP grad? I think I remember seeing your name recently. If you are, who else is a CPSP grad on this call? Just curious. We're gonna get rolling here in a couple minutes, y'all. All right, let's see. I'm gonna check on Amir. He should be rolling up any moment now. Let's see here. You never know, time zones get a little crazy. CPSL, Dan, congratulations, my man. That's awesome. That is awesome. For all you don't know about the certifications that NASP offers, they are next level in behavioral change. Information is great. I mean, I got all the books, predictable revenue. I've got Introvert's Edge, all kinds of stuff here, right? But books information just kind of goes in sometimes. It's tough to retain, it's tough to really implement. That's a great thing about the conditioning programs NASP has, is really changing of behavior and learning how to proactively do that for yourself. Dan, congratulations on that graduation. All right, we're gonna get rolling here. As soon as Amir shows up, he should be here momentarily, y'all. And we've got Amir from CloudTask. This is going to be, oh, he's looking for the link. Let me send it to him again. All right, let's see here. Invite panelists, copy invite link. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, wait a second. There he is. Making me panic like I didn't send it. You know, you sent it, they're like, where is it? Like, I know I sent it.
Just turned 2:01, so technically I'm on time.
Oh, no. You're exactly where you're supposed to be here, brother. I didn't tell you to get here before 1 at all, man. You are you are perfectly timed, sir. Thank you for being here.
I like those glasses, man. I think I need to put mine on too. If you got glasses with blue light.
I started wearing them.
I'll do the same.
Man, you look good. I started wearing mine to look smarter, and then I started needing them to actually see. It's been a difficult transition for me, but that's all right. We're here.
You both. I like them. Ray-Ban, right? Ray-Ban?
Yeah, yep. Yes, sir. Cool. Nice, man. Well, hey, Amir, great to be here. We're going to get rolling here, y'all, like we told you we would. I know people are usually on time in the first couple minutes after, so people will be rolling in as we get going here. For all of you who don't know, Amir Ryder is CEO and founder of CloudTask, cloudtask.com. If you don't know, check them out. I'm not going to tell you about CloudTask because that would just do it disjustice. It'd be like asking Amir to tell you about my vacation last week. I'm going to have Amir tell you about CloudTask and who they are and what they do. And then we're going to get into some hot topics, Amir. I promised my people that you'd give them some of the secrets of your top salespeople.
I will share everything I know.
My man. Awesome. Well, tell people a little bit, first off, about yourself, how you got here, and about CloudTask.
About myself, well,
I want to know something about you, dude, please. This is
something about me. I enjoy business, as you can imagine, because I'm in the business of business, and that's what CloudTask really is. We're helping leaders focus on their companies and not focusing on pipeline generation, renewals, and support. So we're a modern BPO, and fortunately, we're converting to a platform as a service, almost like an Uber. But that's like my exciting news that's happening in 2021.
Very cool. I got to tell everybody real quick before we get into moving on this, how I met Amir was the most beautiful way to understand how a leader leads. I was cold prospected through Amir's team. And I got on from one of his SDRs, setting up a meeting with me with one of their account execs or reps. Then I got on and I don't normally take these calls because I get so many of them. If I'm not looking for something, it's, kind of it's a time question. But I'm also a business networking person. I also appreciate good service and good processes. So every single person that reached out to me had a level of a standard of excellence, just really cared about me, was looking to add value, was looking to serve me as opposed to just treating me like a client, all the way up until I ended up on this guy's phone. And he exemplified every one of those characteristics. So that's how we were connected.
I appreciate that. We had a lot in common too, right? I think we were both living in South Beach and have jobs, which is just
absolutely
great, right? Like if you live in South Beach and have a job, you're automatically friends with the person.
Yeah, once we got together, we realized how much we had in common. But it wouldn't have happened if it wouldn't have been for the way that every one of the people within the process brought me through. So the importance of every single role.
To have a cool team. We're like 225 employees, and I would say that I'm actually friends with 50 plus. Of our teammates, because they're just awesome people. And yeah, that's what sales development does. It starts friendships, right? It's not all about selling.
Absolutely.
Building a friendship, right?
Absolutely, dude. We've grown that. So what we want to talk about today is what we talk a lot about at NASP is the opportunity to lean into your strengths, right? Oftentimes in life, most people, they'll focus on their weaknesses. Even in my own life, I've noticed times where I've backed away from my amazing skill of rapport and relationship building because it was associated with things of my past that I was trying to move away from, right? I was a nightclub owner. I ran nightclubs and was a marketing director, and I was trying to move away from that life. And those things were very easy to me to build relationships and rapport that way. So I was kind of moving away from it, trying to develop the skills in which I wasn't as good at. And oftentimes got me spinning my wheels and focus on my lack as opposed to my abundance.
Yep.
And one of the great things I love about Amir, what they do is they really give salespeople and sales teams an opportunity to, hey, maybe you want to work on that skill later, but great, let's not let the leaking bucket continue to drain the rest of your team. Let's find a way to leverage somebody else who's great at that and partner with them so that we can execute in the way that we want to. And then we can focus on the thing that we're really good at, as opposed to trying to be the jack of all trades.
1,000%, and focusing on what you do best, and building a strong network of other people who do great jobs around the things that are ancillary work really well. And that's kind of why this relationship is amazing.
Absolutely.
We are helping people with similar problems in different ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. So Amir, I'd love to hear, I've got a lot of salespeople out there. I'd love to hear, one of the biggest questions I get all the time is about prospecting. Leads, where do you get your leads from? What are the best lead gen tools? How do you set up the meetings? What is the best processes in this area? And a lot of people struggle with it. A lot of salespeople, I think I put it in a couple of emails I sent out. The average salesperson spends less than 40% of their time actually selling. And if that's the case, imagine what, my ideas are, imagine what we could do with an extra 20% belly to belly with the right people. And also not
1,000%.
right? And so tell me about some of your client experiences that you work with people, and maybe some stories about how people have leveraged you in those areas to outsource an area to do more of what they're great at.
Yeah, look, if you think about revenue, we're always saying that marketing and sales are different departments, but they're really not. They're all aligned to generate revenue, right? And I think we live in a world where digital marketing is acceptable, right? Like, it's okay for you to have a banner on Facebook, on CNN.com. Like, it's cool. Yeah. Everyone should probably buy stock in Facebook and Microsoft, because they own LinkedIn, because we're okay with making these billion-dollar companies more profitable, right? Everything else when it comes to sales is channels that we've known for a while, right? Like the phone has existed for a very long time. SMS has been around. Mm-hmm. Emails have been around. LinkedIn's have been around. Now they're adding voice notes, right? So just taking every other channel that's not digital, right, and kind of, I would say, amplifying, a digital marketing presence, if that makes sense. And I think what's happening in the world right now is that we tend to also measure the wrong things, right? I think I think a lot of times we're trying to measure qualified meetings, and I am too, right? I have a big team where some of their KPIs are meetings, but in reality, I think we're moving more towards engagement and conversations, right, as a measure of KPI, because a meeting, everyone I think is sick and tired of that, do you have 15 minutes to meet? Especially when it's like, hey, well, we're already talking, right? Like, you're in my LinkedIn, like, so you want 15 minutes to meet, but why don't you just tell me what it is right now, right? So I think we're like really getting away from this whole concept of just engagement, if that makes sense. And I think that there's been just a huge explosion of sales and marketing tools that have been all about VCs making their money back, not really about the end user experience. And it's created opportunity, I think, for organizations to relook at those KPIs and to incentivize salespeople to build friendships, to talk, right? Like, how many people did you talk to today, right? Not how many qualified meetings did you make? Because if someone really can't help their problem, they're not going to buy from you, and you don't want them to buy from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the challenge, right? It's like, all right, cool. Yeah, how do I have more conversations with people that I can maybe have more conversations with people that are really aligned with the needs in which I can serve? Maybe. And so, like, if you're really good at building those relationships, we're really good at having those conversations, what are areas where people are like, all right, well, I need y'all to help me so that I can do what I do better, but make sure that there's better people on the other end of that conversation for me.
Yeah, I'm like, that data is everything, right? And I didn't, for me, originally, I'm just more of a do it kind of guy, right? Like, I'm gonna pick up the phone and call. I'm gonna just work hard, right? And that was cool. It got me to a certain point, and then I kind of woke up and I realized that data is kind of ruling the world, right? In the sense of like who we're talking to, what they like, and it's all around us that data is kind of taken over. And I think we need to embrace it and realize that you don't need to be a data scientist or have a data background to leverage data to help you in your day-to-day job, right? And a lot of the times the problem with sales is that we don't think of it like farming, where like if you're going to plant seeds that are going to be turned into a crop that you don't want, you're kind of missing the point, right? And it's not fun to focus on those seeds or data points because it's not exciting, right? Like a spreadsheet that has your name on it with some data points, it's not thrilling, right? But I think really taking a step back and targeting with intent is going to be the future. And there's always going to be that balance, right? I think there's always a balance. Every company's different, right? So we're speaking to so many different companies because if you're selling a service that can be $1 million versus a product that starts off as a free trial, it's could be different how you go to market, right? And
Sure.
that's got to be talked about. But they still all need the right people, because if you have a free trial for a product, and I've seen this happen, I've seen companies that have hired us 4 years after raising a Series A and B, they have 700,000 users, and they're like, Amir, help us monetize them. And I'm like, too late, right? Like because you didn't monetize it, on a small scale, and now you have 700,000 people. Your investors think that's great and it's worth something, but they're not the ones who are going to buy from you, right? So just kind of like it all really starts about who you're talking to, and it's interesting because that concept really can change a salesperson's career, because when you work for a big company, you can get placed in the right territory at the right time, right? So somebody who gets San Francisco or New York City selling a disruptive technology can have a completely different experience than a rep who's got more drive, more skill, and is placed in maybe South Florida, right? So it's like you got to really be aware of the company you're working for, the product you're selling, but it's always going to come back to who you're talking to. Because at the end of the day, if you're talking to somebody about something that is relative to them and their problems, it could be an interesting conversation, right? And people also need to learn, and myself, to kind of lead with questions, right? I think we always start getting learning that, like, hey, here's what we do, or Cloud Task, we've done X amount of real revenue, but that's not really, in reality, people want to talk about themselves and their businesses, and you can ask the questions in a way that show that you know the business, right? And that's just, it's lacking right now in the world. And I think it's going to be, there's going to be a big change coming. I'm excited about it. Like I'm a proponent of this data filled world where we're going to be actually talking to people that, we know we can help. And there's just so much research out there, which is great,
Absolutely. And if you think about it too, like as we speak about the skill of hustle, right? I know a lot of people that made it on their hustle, right? And hustle is great, but hustle can't be duplicated throughout your entire workforce, right? And it's not something that you can always train. But working smarter is something that you can train and you can add more value to, you can get more efficient at. So as I'm a hustler, there's still only so much time in the day. There's still only so many hours, and as long as I hustle, I still always gotta hustle. But if you leverage that same time, and also it depends on where you're at, right? I just had a conversation with Christine Rogers from Aspireship, and doing a lot of software sales. They train people to get into the software, the SaaS world. And every job is going to be unique, right? As a salesperson, you may have a kick-ass marketing department and a just wicked lead generation, but maybe you don't have as much support in the customer support area or in maintaining your customers. And so where you invest in those things is very much depending on where you are in your market and where you are in your career as well, right, Amir?
Well, you're always going to see there's always going to be, companies are always like out of balance in one step, where they're like outselling capacity and now everyone's having a bad onboarding experience or too much. It's never like, like people have this kind of fake imagination that like a bigger company has no problems, which is complete BS. They just have a lot more profit. So yeah, you're always going to find a little bit about a balance. That's what's interesting about work. And that's where you get to use your head and give feedback, right? And I think companies are looking for people to not only fit the role, but future leadership is going to be the one that's identifying problems and presenting solutions, right, to these kinds of things.
Yeah, with the industry evolving so fast, people are definitely looking for people that they can promote from within as well. We got a good question here from Mike Ski, who's a longtime NASP member. My man, he says, how are you qualifying the person as an influencer or decision maker if they're not carrying that VP or C-level title?
Asking questions. You could literally ask the CEO, like if you were talking to a big company, you could say, hey, hey, Christopher, I know you're probably not in charge of SDRs. I just wanted to be pointed in the right direction, like who would be in charge of it. So I think you're also able to ask straightforward questions. I'm like a leader rather hear that than hear a pitch about how you can help them when you don't know their product. So I think asking around is a really skill that's kind of gotten forgotten to find out if somebody's truly qualified. And then, at the same time, you can literally find a lot of people in now like Slack groups and organizations and try to find them off the beating path. And it's easier to have real candid conversations, I think, that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to show this PDF here. You know Justin Michael, don't you, Amir?
Oh yeah, we work together.
I knew this. Yeah, I had him on the podcast not too long ago, and I'm just starting this program and stuff right now. He's got this great PDF and this great program. I'm just gonna show real quick. Join the revolution. Check the newsletter if y'all haven't had it, or email me personally. I'll get you access to this. I'll give you a free membership. But Justin's opener on his conversation is great for searching this out right away. Hey John, Justin Michael with Acme Corp. Who's in charge of XYZ strategy? Really provoke somebody. If they are in charge, how proud are they to say I am in charge? If they're not, it's a very easy question on who is. And then he moves right into the, okay, great. Can I tell so-and-so you referred me? It is, I love the directness to it. And Justin's known for using a lot of, Amir, I imagine you know a lot about how he does his client acquisition and his processing, but he puts it all out there for everybody, and very effective guy.
Yeah, straightforward. I'm like, Justin has, I wouldn't say every night, but close to every night, he's doing live cold calling.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And some of this is on behalf of CloudTask because he's on our advisory board. But yeah, it's really interesting, hearing sometimes people are like, F off, I don't have any time. And it goes into like a 45-minute conversation. And it's just really about being straightforward, I think, and to the point.
Confident and pushed around by that call, right? Really, really going into to set yourself apart, which is breaking that person out of their pattern of picking up the phone from salespeople all day long, because that's what's happening. So how are you different?
Yeah. I'm like, one of the things that's annoying for me, what's frustrating that I receive a lot of calls where people don't get to the point, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it just, you can almost ask that on a call. You could be like, hey, Christopher, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you have a few seconds. Do you mind if I'm just straight to the point? And you might be like, yeah, sure. But like, this is why I called, right? And also the concept of calling, everyone thinks back to the meeting, like your goal is a meeting. What about your goal is to amplify an email? What happens if I call you and I'm like, hey, Christopher, what's going on? So many people are sending all these emails these days that I thought it'd be a little different. Call you, let you know that I was going to actually send an email that I did some research on. And I was just wondering if you could take a look at it. That's like a pattern interrupt. Nobody's saying that, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to wait for that email because you're going to be curious.
Yeah, right? Even if it's a voice message that you left or something like that, it's going to set itself apart as opposed to just the cold email.
Yeah, 100%. I find myself to have a lot of success with cross-channel amplification, and maybe that's a word I just made up, but what I really mean by that is that if I'm sending a voice on LinkedIn, I'm sending an email being like, hey, Christopher just sent you a voice on LinkedIn. Let me know what you think, right? I'm going to use a different channel to amplify that message. And it works really well because it's a pattern interrupt. It's different. And it's also, I'm not pitching anything, right?
Yeah, and I think Justin also talks about that. He talks about fractals and the way he duplicates things in his message and his follow-up and keeps them very similar and pointing to each other so that they reference each other and build more on each other as opposed to being individual reach out and communications.
Yeah, 100%. And things are changing fast. I think
absolutely.
Phone call is also a good opportunity to SMS, right? But hey, Chris, I got you. I know there's a cell phone and you seem busy. Do you mind if I text you? And you're probably like, yeah. And then I'm texting, right?
100%. Everybody's preferred mode of conversation nowadays.
I think so, right? You got to follow the data and small percent of emails are getting through, and then a smaller percent are getting open. And if you're emailing an enterprise, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. It's very different. So tell me about CloudTask. So let's say I'm one of the questions I also get is, I'd rather have this stuff in-house or near me, which is all changing now because nothing's in-house anymore, right? So I imagine that the outsourcing business or outsourcing these services is rapidly growing now because people are realizing, well, if they're not under my sales group anymore, what's the difference if they're under somebody else's, umbrella? Right? So I imagine the outsourcing business or outsourcing these services is rapidly growing now because people are realizing, well, if they're not under my sales group anymore, what's the difference if they're under somebody else's umbrella? control or
Yeah, and it makes a good point, right? Like the revenue doesn't really know where it came from, right? Revenue is kind of blind. It's not going to be like $100,000 in the bank account. It's not going to be like I came from a W-2. Look at me, I'm worth more than 100 grand that came from a 1099, or I'm worth more than 100 grand that came from an outsourced company. So there's a lot of the times where people are either or. It's either in-house or outside. But what they're really saying is, I don't have a scalable process, and it's not just do this and make that. Kind of what you're saying, right? Because what you find is that BPO and outsourcing has been a thriving billion-dollar industry in the enterprise. They're not outsourcing with one company, they're outsourcing with 10, and they're putting them all against each other.
The number one source of revenue in the Philippines.
100%. And then India and America. Do you know how many call centers are in America?
Yeah,
do you think outsourcing is only, I don't should know this number, but millions of jobs are in call centers in the States. It's just, it's on premise. There's near shore. But with technology, I think, and I'm writing a book about this, Future of the Workforce, it's going to stop. I believe that people are going to stop caring about where and care more about the what that's being done, right? Like is the work being done that I'm asking for, and is it being done the way I want? And that's going to be, so all this technology is created, it's really taken away that office need. Now the office will not go away. Some people want to go to the office, right? Some people have kids screaming in the background, and going to the office is part of their routine. Some people it's not, right? And it's going to create efficiency, which is awesome. But I think, for the most part, what we're doing is bringing down BPO to the SMB, the companies that probably need it the most, right? The organizations that, the billion-dollar companies are just making billions of dollars, and they're going to make more. You know what I mean? So ironically, a lot of the naysayers, a lot of the I'm going to do internal versus external, are the ones that need the help the most. They're the ones burning cash. They're the ones about to raise their Series B, and they're scared to take multiple chances because it's not in the playbook, right? It's not in the VC private equity playbook. It's not written that you can build $1 billion company by outsourcing, XYZ function, or a combination of both. And until it gets written, there will always be leaders and laggards, right? And the laggards will eventually, once their VCs 10 years from now go, oh, you're going to work with XYZ, it's going to become normal. Until then, they're afraid to take a chance because you don't get fired by hiring IBM, the old saying goes. But yeah, a lot of the times when people are like, Amir, we're hiring internally, and I'm like, why does it even have to be a choice? Right? Like let's just say that you have 5 SDRs on your team. They are competing with each other to become account executives, and you want that. Say you have 5 SDRs at CloudTask. They're competing with each other, and they're all competing. And who wins? The company.
Exactly.
Right? And that's how and it's not, outsourcing is not for everybody. Like nothing is for everybody, right? So there's nothing that's a home run for everybody. You have to embrace anything you're doing. You have to support it, right? If you're going to be hiring an outsourced company and you're like, I don't trust this, I don't think it's going to work, it's probably not going to work, because you're setting that tone for the company, right? So I just think that a lot of people need to really be committed to their decisions and start understanding that, if a company is specializing in something, there's probably a lot you can learn from them, right? There's always
100%,
right?
And so I would imagine a lot of your process when you interview come. One of the great things about working with CloudTask is the complaints I hear about outsourcing as well. The best rates, the best price, the best people are all in another time zone. I can't do that. But obviously, CloudTask being in South America, in Medellin, say it.
Medellin. Mainly, we have a lot more now in Mexico City and Belize and all that stuff.
Okay, see, but here in our time zones, which makes it it takes away one of the huge obstacles of working with organizations like them. A lot of the people actually that I spoke with down there were actually from the States, and we're actually natural English-speaking people as well. So really, really great team, but also multilingual, which is this guy's killing it all over. So working with some of these teams, I imagine you basically examine somebody's sales process often. Like you go through and say, all right, let's take a look at your sales process as a bucket, and then. And I think it's a really important thing for everybody out there to look at as individual salespeople. You can always start. This is the way I do a lot of businesses. Outsource small, prove the sample and bring it to my superiors or my partners and say, hey, look what I was able to do with this. Let's scale this on a bigger level and look at bigger resources. And
1,000%. I have outsourced companies working for CloudTask that are competitors. I've hired some of them because we become colleagues, right? Like we refer each other business. And I'm like, well, look, if I believe that if I can tell you that revenue is all the same and that, if your goal is 20 million in pipeline, get 20 million pipeline, then I have to kind of die by that own sword. And I've successfully hired organizations that would be competitive to work with me because we're colleagues in the industry. And I believe in it. And I believe in it. And what people forget is that every year that your forecast, let's say you're forecasting 10 million, right? You hit 10 million. Now you want to grow 100%. You have to add another $10 million of business, right? To get to 20. Now you're like, let's grow 100%. You have to add another 20, right? They really forget the math behind doubling forecasts. So your pipeline is going to have to come from somewhere, right? So if you have another lever where you can scale a team of 5 to 50 of that pipeline, it's in your advantage, right? Because less lever, that's what a chief revenue officer needs to do, right? They need to pull on all the levers needed to get an outcome.
And that's all those parts moving perfectly equally at the same time and take advantage of opportunities when they come. Sometimes you're not able to say, all right, great, let's scale this and build this department on our own. Sometimes the leads are in. Sometimes the market has shifted and it is time. As my grandfather says, you got to make hay while the sun shines. And the only way to get an active sales force out there engaged is by reaching out with an organization that already has them trained, already has them systematized, has them in-house ready to go, and is ready to deploy them with the team already. And that's where
I'm like, like I said, it's not perfect. Like nothing's perfect, but it's what you make of it. But from a core concept, like the organization is CloudTask, a lot of our colleagues in the industry, we're not the only one, right? Like we've really been doing it and we've got the data, and things are getting harder, which is awesome. I think it's awesome for us because it's becoming harder to get emails delivered, right? What's the point of buying a outreach if you get a 5% open rate, if you're going to hurt your sender score, right? Like it's getting harder to deliver emails. LinkedIn's getting more sensitive when it comes to like, are you actually selling, right? So it's like there's just more rules and more regulations are making it tougher, right? And more or a reason why you're like, I don't want to deal with that, right? Like I don't want to deal with GDPR. I don't want to have to deal with the security protocol. And it amplifies, like I said before, like you can hire, a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to hire SDRs because I want to promote them from within. That's great. Well, why not just hire more account executives, right? Like exactly. Why not hire junior AEs? Like it doesn't change that, right?
And even if you're an in-house salesperson out there, I mean, like I say it over and over again, find ways to grow your own business. Your own prospecting is a beautiful thing. And if you can find a way to leverage what you're good at and not wait for the company to, because look, sometimes it's difficult to get things done or implemented within an organization. Sometimes it's what would help you be more successful on the whole maybe isn't the smarter play for the organization. Maybe they don't even have time to see that, or maybe you don't have the communication level to get there, but you have an opportunity to capitalize. And if you see that, you can evaluate in your sales process the area that's missing, and you can look to other resources for that. And I think that's one of the things that I want to hit over and over and over again. Know what your sales process is. One of the most important things is said on every call, every webinar. You'll hear in the next month's podcast from Christine Rogers and Thomas Picard. But know your sales process, and then know where your weaknesses and strengths are. This is a huge area to be able to leverage the amazing ability for us to outsource these days.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. And tools are changing. And just to give you insight on like the direction we're going, I think I'm excited about it, right? Like we purchased a platform and we're building our own sales engagement tool that's centered around data. And the future is going to be intent data, right? Like if I know as CloudTask that you answer, let's say Facebook Messenger, which you do, right? It's going to know that intent data and teach the machine learning that your contact you should be contacting the Facebook Messenger. So like we're coming in a direction where it's not just gonna be outsourcing anymore. It's gonna be like, we got the data, we know when people are answering phone calls, we know what they're doing, and we're actually doing the coaching and training and we get you the outcome. So we're living in a world where like a lot of outsourced companies are transforming into data companies, and the word automation, it's not a scary word if you embrace the fact that you're probably going to be doing some more advanced work, right? Even like us scheduling this webinar, like we probably didn't have to do it. A machine could have set it up.
Absolutely.
You know, and that would allow us to have more time to build these relationships that we built, right? So it's an exciting future. I think that's the direction for a lot of organization. It's going to be, a lot of machines talking to each other in a positive way, and humans will start be doing, hopefully back to being humans. And
yeah. As opposed to trying to leverage computers to automate our personalities and ourselves, allow the computers to do that work and allow us to be the humans and develop those relationships.
Yeah, okay, we have dinner reservations tonight and 9 o'clock get there,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you met Oliver Squires?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Oliver's from London. He works at a company called Ebsta, EBSTA.
Oh yeah, I know Ebsta.
Yeah, they have really cool thing, which they basically, it's a customer engagement thermometer. It's almost like a customer engagement score. There's a whole lot more to it, but the idea is that your customers' engagement score, so you know how much they're engaging and communicating with you during all the different channels, emails, social, all the different things, and they have a score so that when a customer has a high engagement score, it's a great time to talk about renewing contracts, pursue different opportunities, upsell, different things like that. When they're low, that means they need more engagement. You need to touch base.
I remember at the CEO where it's, if you have one point of contact and that's the only person you're talking to, that guy can leave.
The technology is getting there more and more. So the more and more you are smart to learn the technology, but also trust others who are leveraging and using the technology so that you can get back to doing what you're doing, the better we are going to be as salespeople. And this is, you talk to everybody. Everybody has got their theory about AI and singularity and how these things are changing and moving. And most of the people always say it's the same thing. Those who have a great ability to operate within this communication with their sales skills, with those rapport and people skills, will be the people that are the most successful in this transition.
I agree 100%. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And I'm excited to we got some conversations and talk with you about how we can work further together and leverage some of the skills at NASP in which we want to grow. We know there's some areas in which we are prospecting and customer engagement and is not where it should be. So we're like, all right, great. Well, as we grow and scale that area in our own company, let's see where we can outsource to have us show us the way to support that leaky bucket until we're able to kind of fill it ourselves. So
1,000%.
Yeah. So listen, y'all. Amir, where can they find you?
Me. Well, LinkedIn, Facebook.
He's
Instagram,
on LinkedIn.
Anywhere. I'm the channel.
He really is.
And I go by my name, Amir Writer, so it's easy. There's no other Amir Writers, so it's not.
And you go to AmirWriter.com. You can find him there.
Yeah, you have AmirWriter.com too.
Direct your traffic to CloudTask. Check out CloudTask.
CloudTask.
Yes.
Right, yes.
CloudTask.
There's a person on Drift, a live person you could speak to.
Exactly. All right, y'all. Any other questions before we move on? I'm gonna get this thing rolling. Listen, one more thing too. I don't have the flyer up today, but go to Nunbelievable. Nunbelievable is a cookie company that donates a meal with every cookie purchased, and they do a great little corporate gifting campaign. Everybody loves a little cookie. What a better way to get to somebody's decision-making table than to get into their belly with a cookie, right?
I want a cookie.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'll send you some cookies. We'll work on that. NASP 25 will give you 25% off any order there. If you've got clients out there that you'd love to have a meeting with, wouldn't it be beautiful to send them a cookie and then follow up with a call and an email in the new year? They'd be like, oh, yeah, that's the dude who sent me the cookie that my daughter ate for Christmas morning or whatever, right? Good ideas. Where are you sending cookies now? That most people are not. That's just a good call. How do you get them to their house? Good call. Well, most companies do have a secretary. What I'm doing is sending them to the gatekeepers. A lot of companies that I'm trying to get into speak with the people over there. I'm sending them to the front desk, the office, the secretaries, those type of people who come in and out of the office, hoping that gets me front seat somewhere. But good questions, Ski, man. You throw me off guard a little bit. All right, y'all. That's our webinar for today. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Amir, thanks for being here, brother.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon. All right, y'all. Download it, review it, like it, comment, share it with others, and we'll see you on another one soon.
See ya.
See ya.